closure, I guess, is just one of those things where one of those questions can be like, are we okay without knowing? And do we, okay, this is something I wanted to ask you,
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
uh, was that like, are you okay not knowing why something ended? Like, are you comfortable being in that zone?
This is a very interesting question because that's exactly what I'm going through now. Since the past 4, 5 odd months, I have just been at the end of a relationship. I mean, it did kind of end. It was
Hmm.
the best thing that happened to me. We were together for a long time, and again, uh, for reasons of privacy and reasons of respect towards the person, I won't get into details. But the relationship ended, um,
Right.
and I was left very clueless at the end of it because in my head, the reasons given to me for why it ended didn't make sense. And in my head, all I knew was, this person and I were meant to be together. We had such an amazing time. We had such an amazing journey,
Hmm.
and it was only supposed to get better. And how could it not get better? Um,
Yeah. And
and
this is,
this was yeah a testing time for me. I mean,
yeah.
because all my relationships before this, um, it's it's now that I realize that the way I coped with the relationship ending was to just get into the next one. And when I realized that, I knew that I was doing it wrong. And for the first time, I'm sort of looking at this relationship, and because it's giving me extreme grief and it's giving me a lot of anxiety and I'm having literally withdrawal
Hmm.
symptoms. What I'm trying to do is not going through the routine generic process that we do, right? Because when we break up,
Right.
what's the natural thing? We met
Eat ice
in
cream,
every
cry.
eat ice
You
cream,
know,
cry. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's actually
get
one of the
fat a
best
little bit and then
solutions.
start working out to be like, yeah, I'm
Mm.
okay.
And that's what we are here for, right? Gain weight,
Yeah,
lose weight, gain weight, lose
yeah,
weight, right? But yeah, for me, I think what we usually do as as people is when we break up with somebody, we invent a whole bunch of why they broke up with us.
yeah, yeah.
If we're the fortunate ones that get dumped, we invent a whole bunch of reasons of why we got dumped or why it didn't work out,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we reply to those interrogations with answers, and we ourselves disapprove those replies. So if you
Yeah.
notice, it's like this whole mental table tennis match that's going on, where you're playing against yourself,
Hmm.
and yet you're sort of booing the other person and not believing them. But what you don't realize is you versus you. That person who actually was involved with you isn't even in the picture anymore. And I realized that I don't want to do this for a change. What
Yeah.
I'm really doing is I'm trying to sit on these thoughts of mine, meditate, try to. I'm trying to tell myself that hey, you know what? It's over. There
Hey,
isn't a reason for
hey,
why it's
man. Like,
over. Yeah,
honestly, one of the things I can say about this is like, in general, you do try to kind of look into yourself, like try to understand, did I do something wrong? Where did I
yeah,
mess up? Like, these are questions that would definitely come to you, I'm quite
correct.
sure. Like, is it something that, but you know what,
But
sometimes
it's when
these
you
things don't
ponder
have
on
a
that for too long.
definite reason, right?
Yeah,
Like, we all are going through changes in our lives in general. We all are growing into things. All are growing out of things.
yeah.
And
Growing
sometimes
out of
I
my
don't know.
favorite pair of pants, I don't fit into them anymore. But okay,
Oof.
move on.
Again, big oofs.
Yeah,
But honestly, like, I think it's just one of those things where sometimes where you want to go and where the other person does wants to go might differ, and
true.
you can't help, like, forcing that relationship to continue, right?
Mm.
Like, you can't always be no, no, everything will be fine, we'll be okay together, when you both have such different thoughts and y'all are not joy like at least able to share it honestly and
Yeah,
like in a comfortable way with each other. And
yeah,
I, like, again, I wasn't in your relationship, so I wouldn't know what it was like for you. And
yeah,
that is something you have gone through. And
yeah.
if you ever want to, talk about it or vent it out,
Mhm.
It's you can definitely do that with us, but generally, like, I think it's just one of those things where it's just a part of life where you're growing up, right? Like, you do there are things you kind of adjust to, but then when you're
Yeah.
so differing in your ideologies, at some
No,
point where it
but
changes, you
serious
can't
man,
always
I wish that
be.
most people were as wise as you now. Usually we're just a self-destructing wave where we're like, you know what, I screwed up, I did this wrong, and it's either
I,
we're taking blame or we're giving blame.
to be
And
honest, it's 50-50, right? Like,
yeah,
to an extent, there are things you might have not realized that the other person didn't like, and
hmm,
something they must have done that you didn't like. And
yeah,
from my side, from what I've heard, I can say there were a few things that did affect you, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
like, hearing you talk about that and at least get
yeah,
to know about that, even I felt like you are
hmm,
not comfortable. So you
yeah,
were also in that zone already, but the only thing is
yeah.
you weren't accepting it, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, because the person I am, I always want to, like, the way I look at things is if it's broke, you fix it. Um, but some
But
people don't look at
yeah,
it that way.
no,
Everyone
but that's
defines
because
broke
all of us are
differently,
different.
I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
all of us are different. Like, we
True,
cope in our own ways, so
true. And
you're
you
going to
know,
be a different person.
it's just exactly why that I am trying to approach closure in a different way this time and just
Yeah,
sort of accepting that things were and now things aren't.
you
And
know,
this
yeah,
is so tough because it's so easy, and that sort of sounds like an oxymoron, but then that's how it is. Usually we over intellectualize and overthink the process so much that we just miss out on the most intrinsic and the most reductionist part that
yeah,
the relationship was and it now isn't. And to be very honest, uh, the bigger reasons for why things didn't work out, you secretly know them. But if you just accept that you know them, then you can't be self-destructive, right? And a lot of us enjoy that. We really love taking ourselves, inside a court of law and making us stand in the witness box and
mm.
just interrogate the fuck out of our own psyche. Uh, but yes, I think this is what I'm doing. Like,
No,
if
but
I'm
like,
going,
see, that is definitely important, right? You need to look into yourself for sure, but then don't, just let it go to a level that would cause you depression,
yeah,
because
right,
this is for relationships. People, like, even with jobs, and
yeah,
if they are not
yeah.
getting a job, if they are
Sorry,
not
guys, this
like,
wasn't supposed to be a breakup rant. My
no,
God,
no,
I just
no,
ended up.
dude, go for it,
No, cause
do
no,
your
but
rant,
no, no,
do
no.
your
But
thing.
we have to do that because we gotta tell everybody closure isn't just about relationships. It's
No,
also
but
about,
like,
like you
if you're
correctly said.
facing that, right? You're facing
Yeah,
that, and
yeah.
there's nothing wrong in speaking about it. So, I don't want you to stop. Like, I wouldn't mind this whole conversation being about just that. So
Appreciate it, my sheeples.
it's
Appreciate
fine.
it. You guys are
But
there for me.